Today's Gatorade Big Stat turns our focus to the number 2 team in this week's CFP rankings. Yet another redonkulous number for Indiana, tied for the 3rd most wins of at least 40 points in any single season over the past decade. Hoosiers just one such blowout win away from tying the 2019 vintages at Clemson and Ohio State. And oh, by the way, IU has 3 regular season games remaining against opponents who have combined to win exactly 0 Big Ten games. Some of that based on injury, some of that based on schedule. You look at Indiana on the road against Penn State, and this is a Penn State team that, to be fair, despite having 0 conference wins, still has a ton of NFL talent on that roster, and you hope enough pride to finish big in November. And yet folks keep wanting to say, well, this could be the week. This could be the game where Indiana stubs its toe and goes on upset alert, and every single week Sig says, you know what, I like that idea, but instead, why don't we just win by 45 or 50?
Yeah, I mean, his messaging has been the most impressive thing to me. I mean, that's the definition of a head coach, is getting his team ready to play. But, you know, success, it can be dangerous in the sense that I think the first thing you said is one of the big narratives that I've been hearing on a national level of, look at Indiana's schedule. I mean, they're going to sleepwalk to the Big Ten championship, and then, man, we're already talking about Indiana making a run to the national title, and yet let's just zoom out a little bit. Your key players, Surratt injured, Aiden Fisher injured, Drew Evans injured. They're beat up on this team right now. That's going to be a challenge for Cignetti to manage the health of his roster while also ensuring they're ready to play against a Penn State team. I just looked it up. They're 10th in talent composite in all of college football. So just a number to speak to how talented they are. I'm sure they want to get a win for Terry Smith, beloved in that locker room. So Penn State's going to continue to be ready to play. Indiana will have to match
composite? I've never heard of talent
4
composite.
4 stars, 5 stars. Like it goes back to your recruiting rankings and measures it up.
Guy's been in college for 2-3 years.
They're a talented team. I just wanted to put a number.
Well, I would
like,
say you could look at the NFL draft projections and say there's a lot of talent out there.
Okay, that to me is closer than what your high school recruiting rankings were 2 or 3 years into your college careers.
Yeah, I hear you. I think there's no dispute they have a lot of really good players on that
However
team.
you want to spin it.
Right. I do think it's interesting, you bring up the question of injuries for Indiana. And I do think that the one thing that I think about is, like, they've put together an incredible roster. And like all you have to do is look at the running back spot. Yeah. Like Lee Beebe goes out with an injury early this year and thought, wow, that might damage them. And they have just rolled through running backs, right? They've gone over 300 rushing yards 5 different times. They don't really have a true feature back, I wouldn't say. Maybe Roman Hemby is the closest thing. So it does speak to depth, but I do wonder just a little bit about, like, if that's the one lingering question mark, is do they have the same amount of quality depth that, let's say, Ohio State does because of the
especially on the lines, I would say, especially on the offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah, I think they'll prove that they do. Like, I think this might be the best team in America. In fact, I kind of believe they are. Mm-hmm. But if there is one question mark, right, they had some pretty good fortune, I'd say, last year. Curtis Work got banged up. They had some injuries on the offensive line at the end, which I think came back to bite them. They had pretty good injury fortune, though, a season ago.
That is a requirement to make these runs, too. Yes. I mean, that is what every head coach is managing at this point in the season. How hard can I go in practice versus trying to keep my team healthy? And you may like your backup players, but the drop-off from Elijah Surratt to whoever is going to fill that role, it's going to be a big drop-off. I mean, he's that good of a player. Ohio State is a great example of how they navigated losing some of their key pieces on the offensive line, too, right? Like, it took them a few weeks to figure out the 5 that they were going to go with to win the national championship last year. So, again, that's one of the key roles for head coaching down the stretch of the season.
I would just say I'm not that concerned about that depth when it comes to the skill positions. Surratt's terrific.
Agreed. Yes.
Omar Cooper's been phenomenal. If you shut down Roman Hemby, Kalon Black can be the guy that beats you even after the BB injury. Obviously, Mendoza is the one guy you absolutely cannot afford to lose. But that offensive line needs to get healthy. They lost 2 guys last week, and Cignetti has pointed that out, that we have to have at least 4 of those 5 guys in concert to have that chemistry to do what we want to do offensively.
Yeah, I think, again, you're nitpicking here because this team has been so unbelievably
There's no other place to pick, Dave.
This season, right, exactly. And I would just say, again, like, I agree with everything you're saying about Penn State, but I think on paper, the game for number 1, the game for number 2, neither one of them feels particularly close.